Amara stood in the corner of the small apartment, holding her bag tightly to her chest. The shouting had gone on for more than an hour. Jisoo was angry again. He had thrown her phone against the wall, screaming about something she didn't even understand. She tried to stay calm, but her heart was beating fast. Her hands shook. She looked at the door, then at him. His eyes were full of rage, and for the first time, she saw clearly that love was gone. All that was left was fear. When he turned to pick up another bottle, she moved. Quietly but quickly, she ran to the door, opened it, and stepped out. Her bare feet hit the cold floor of the hallway. She didn't care about her shoes or her jacket. She only wanted to be free. Behind her, Jisoo shouted her name, but she didn't stop. She ran down the stairs, her breath short, her heart racing like a drum. Outside, the night air hit her face. It was freezing, but it felt like life. The streets of Seoul were glowing with lights from shops and cars, but to Amara, everything looked blurry through her tears. She walked fast, then started running again. Her legs hurt, but she didn't stop. Every step away from that apartment felt like another piece of her heart coming back to her. She turned into a small street, not knowing where she was going. Her phone battery was almost gone, and she had no one to call. She had left her friends months ago, because Jisoo didn't want her talking to them. Now she realized how trapped she had been. She leaned against a wall and cried quietly. She felt like a stranger in a big city, far from home, far from love, and far from safety. A group of people passed by but didn't stop. They looked at her briefly and continued walking. Amara wiped her tears, trying to look brave, but inside, she was breaking. She whispered, "God, please help me." She didn't know what to do next. The wind blew harder, and she hugged herself for warmth. She found an empty bench near a closed café. The lights were off, but the sign above read Moonlight Coffee. She sat down slowly and pulled her bag close to her chest. Inside were only her passport, a little money, and a photo of her mother. She looked at the picture and whispered, "Mama, I'm sorry." Her body shook, not only from the cold, but from everything she had endured. She wished she could close her eyes and wake up somewhere safe. Just then, a black car stopped on the road nearby. The engine hummed quietly. Amara didn't pay attention at first. She thought it was just another car passing by. But the door opened, and the man stepped out wearing a dark coat. He looked around as if searching for something or someone. His eyes landed on her. Their eyes met for a second, and she quickly looked away. He walked toward her slowly. His voice was calm, deep, and kind. "Are you okay?" he asked. That was how she met Minho Kong, the man who would change everything. Amara looked up slowly at the man standing before her. He looked about 30, maybe a little older. His hair was neatly styled, and his face was gentle, not proud or cold like most rich men she had seen. He looked worried, but calm. "Are you okay?" he asked again, this time lowering his voice. Amara hesitated. She wanted to say yes, but her voice failed. She could only nod, even though she was clearly not fine. The man noticed her red eyes and trembling hands. "It's cold," he said quietly, taking off his coat and offering it to her. She didn't move at first, then slowly, she accepted it, pulling it around her shoulders. The warmth almost made her cry again. He sat down on the bench beside her, but kept a little space. "My name is Minho," he said softly. "You don't have to tell me what happened, but you look like you've been through something." His tone was careful, kind, and respectful. Amara looked at him and whispered, "I'm fine, I just needed to leave somewhere." Her words were shaky. Minho nodded like he understood. He didn't ask more. Instead, he looked at the road ahead and said, "Sometimes, leaving is the bravest thing to do." Amara blinked. No one had ever said that to her before. Everyone else told her to endure, to be patient, to make things work. But this stranger was saying something different, something freeing. She took a deep breath. The night air felt less heavy now. For the first time in months, someone was talking to her without shouting or controlling her. She looked at him again. His face looked calm, his eyes kind. She felt a small sense of safety she hadn't felt in a long time. A few cars passed, and the sound of the city filled the silence between them. Minho noticed she was shivering and asked, "Do you have somewhere to stay tonight?" Amara lowered her eyes. "No, not really," she said softly. He thought for a moment, then said, "There's a guest house near my office. It's safe. I can take you there if you're comfortable." Amara looked unsure. She didn't want to trust anyone, especially a man, again. But his voice didn't sound like Jesus. It wasn't loud or forceful. It was calm and patient. "I don't want to cause trouble," she murmured. Minho smiled slightly. "It's not trouble," he said. "I can tell you've had a hard night. You need rest." He stood up slowly, giving her time to decide. Something in his gentle tone made her want to believe him. She took one last look at the street, then stood too. "Okay," she whispered, "just for tonight." Minho nodded. He opened the car door for her. The inside smelled clean, soft, like fresh air. She sat quietly while he drove, her eyes watching the city lights blur past. He didn't ask questions. He just turned on the heater so she could feel warm. The silence between them wasn't awkward. It felt peaceful. For Amara, peace itself felt strange, but good. They arrived at a tall building with glass walls. It wasn't a fancy hotel, but it looked safe and comfortable. Minho spoke to the woman at the front desk in Korean, then handed her a card. Amara stood beside him, unsure of what to say. He turned to her. "You can stay here as long as you need," he said kindly. "I'll check on you tomorrow. Get some rest, miss." She smiled weakly. "Amara," she said. "My name is Amara." Minho nodded and smiled gently. "Good night, Amara." When he left, she stood by the window of her small room and looked at the lights of Seoul below. She wrapped his coat around herself again and sighed deeply. For the first time in a long while, she wasn't afraid. She didn't know who Minho really was, that he was one of the youngest CEOs in Seoul. She only knew one thing, that a kind stranger had stopped to help her when she needed it most. When Amara opened her eyes, sunlight was peeking through the curtains. For a moment, she didn't remember where she was. The bed felt soft, and the air smelled fresh, not like Jesus' place where everything smelled like smoke and anger. Then the memories of last night came back. The shouting, the broken glass, the kind stranger with the soft voice. She sat up slowly, touched the coat lying beside her, and whispered, "Minho." Her phone was dead, but for once, she didn't feel the panic of being unreachable. She took a shower and looked at herself in the mirror. Her cheek still had a faint mark from the night before, but her eyes looked different, tired but free. She brushed her hair and wore one of the simple dresses she had packed in her bag. When she stepped out of the room, the woman at the front desk smiled and handed her a note. "From Mr. Kong," she said kindly. Amara opened it. The note read, "Breakfast is served in the café downstairs. Don't worry about the bill, Minho." Amara's eyes softened. She wasn't used to such kindness. Downstairs, she found a small café beside the guest house. The place was warm, filled with the smell of coffee and eggs. She sat quietly in a corner and ate slowly, enjoying each bite like it was the first proper meal in a long time. Her mind kept returning to Minho. Who was he really? Why did he help her? People usually passed her by when she needed help. Why was he different? As she finished eating, a familiar voice spoke behind her. "You're up early." She turned quickly. Minho was standing there, wearing a grey suit. He looked sharp but still gentle. He smiled. "I hope you slept well," he said. Amara nodded shyly. "Yes, thank you, Mr. Minho." He laughed softly. Just Minho is fine. He sat down opposite her, and for a while they talked, not about the past, but about simple things. About how she came to Korea for school, how she liked spicy food, how the city looked different at night. For the first time in months, Amara smiled without pretending. After a while, Minho checked his watch. I have to go to the office, he said. But I'll send someone to help you get new clothes and a phone if you'd like. Amara's eyes widened. Oh no, please, I can't accept that, she said quickly. He smiled again. It's not a gift, he said gently. Think of it as me helping a friend. The word friend made her chest feel warm. She nodded slowly. Okay, she whispered. Thank you. When Minho left, Amara stepped outside. The city was busy and bright. For the first time, she didn't feel invisible. She felt alive. She looked at the tall buildings and wondered where life was taking her next. She didn't know that the man who had helped her, the quiet stranger, was one of the most talked about CEOs in Seoul, and that soon their paths would cross again in ways neither of them expected. Later that afternoon, a woman came to meet her, Minho's assistant, Yoonji. She was cheerful and kind. Mr. Kong told me to take care of you, Yoonji said with a smile. Come on, let's get you some clothes and a warm meal. Amara followed her quietly, her heart filled with both gratitude and confusion. She didn't know what she had stepped into, but for the first time, she wasn't afraid to find out. Yoonji led Amara through the streets of Seoul. The day was bright, and for once, Amara noticed how beautiful the city looked, clean, colorful, and full of life. Yoonji talked as they walked, telling her small things about the shops and the people. Mr. Kong is very kind, Yoonji said as they stopped in front of a small boutique. He doesn't help people often, but when he does, he means it. Amara smiled lightly. He seems different, she said. Yoonji nodded. He is. But he also works too much. They both laughed softly, and for the first time, Amara felt at ease with someone new. Inside the store, Yoonji helped her pick out simple but nice clothes, jeans, a soft sweater, and a warm jacket. When Amara looked in the mirror, she almost didn't recognize herself. She looked fresh, calm, and alive. You look beautiful, Yoonji said. Thank you, Amara replied, her eyes soft with gratitude. She didn't remember the last time anyone called her that without cruelty behind the words. The store attendant packed the clothes, and Yoonji paid with a company card. Mr. Kong said everything's covered, she said. Amara didn't know how to feel, shy, thankful, or confused. No one had ever been this kind to her. They went for lunch afterward, and as they ate, Amara asked, What does Mr. Kong do? Yoonji smiled proudly. He's the CEO of Kangtech Group, one of Korea's top technology companies. He started it when he was just 24. Amara's spoon paused mid-air. He's a CEO, she asked, eyes wide. Yoonji laughed. Yes, and one of the most respected ones too, but he doesn't talk about it much. He's simple. Despite his success, Amara felt her heart beat faster. The man who had helped her last night, the calm, humble man, was actually a powerful CEO. It didn't make sense, but it made her respect him even more. When they returned to the guest house, Yoonji handed her a small phone. Mr. Kong said to give this to you. It's prepaid. Just in case you need to call anyone, she explained. Amara held the phone carefully, as if it were a treasure. Please thank him for me, she said softly. Yoonji nodded. You can tell him yourself. He's coming by later. Amara's heart skipped. He's coming here, she asked. Yoonji smiled. Yes, he said he wanted to make sure you're doing fine. Yoonji led Amara through the streets of Seoul. The day was bright, and for once, Amara noticed how beautiful the city looked, clean, colorful, and full of life. Yoonji talked as they walked, telling her small things about the shops and the people. Mr. Kong is very kind, Yoonji said as they stopped in front of a small boutique. He doesn't help people often, but when he does, he means it. Amara smiled lightly. He seems different, she said. Yoonji nodded. He is. But he also works too much. They both laughed softly, and for the first time, Amara felt at ease with someone new. Inside the store, Yoonji helped her pick out simple but nice clothes, jeans, a soft sweater, and a warm jacket. When Amara looked in the mirror, she almost didn't recognize herself. She looked fresh, calm, and alive. You look beautiful, Yoonji said. Thank you, Amara replied, her eyes soft with gratitude. She didn't remember the last time anyone called her that without cruelty behind the words. The store attendant packed the clothes, and Yoonji paid with a company card. Mr. Kong said, everything's covered, she said. Amara didn't know how to feel, shy, thankful, or confused. No one had ever been this kind to her. They went for lunch afterward, and as they ate, Amara asked, what does Mr. Kong do? Yoonji smiled proudly. He's the CEO of Kangtech Group, one of Korea's top technology companies. He started it when he was just 24. Amara's spoon paused mid-air. He's a CEO, she asked, eyes wide. Yoonji laughed. Yes, and one of the most respected ones too. But he doesn't talk about it much. He's simple. Despite his success, Amara felt her heart beat faster. The man who had helped her last night, the calm, humble man, was actually a powerful CEO. It didn't make sense, but it made her respect him even more. When they returned to the guest house, Yoonji handed her a small phone. Mr. Kong said to give this to you. It's prepaid. Just in case you need to call anyone, she explained. Amara held the phone carefully, as if it were a treasure. Please thank him for me, she said softly. Yoonji nodded. You can tell him yourself. He's coming by later. Amara's heart skipped. He's coming here, she asked. Yoonji smiled. Yes, he said he wanted to make sure you're doing fine. When evening came, Amara waited near the window again, her thoughts full of questions. What did he want? Why did he care so much? Was he just kind? Or was there something deeper she couldn't see yet? When the doorbell rang, she felt her stomach tighten. She walked slowly to the door and opened it. Minho stood there, dressed casually this time, holding 2 cups of hot chocolate. I brought you something warm, he said with a smile. Amara couldn't help but smile back. Thank you, she whispered. They sat together by the window, sipping their drinks quietly. The city lights flickered below them, stars on the ground. So, you found out, Minho said suddenly. Amara looked at him, confused. Found out what? That I'm a CEO, he said with a soft grin. She laughed nervously. Yoonji told me. I didn't expect that, he nodded. I know. Most people see the title before the person. I'm glad you didn't. His words made her chest tighten in a strange, warm way. She felt safe with him, not because of who he was, but because of how he made her feel. For a long time, they just sat there in silence. It wasn't awkward. It was peaceful, the kind of quiet that heals wounds you don't talk about. Minho finally said, you don't have to rush anything. Stay here until you're ready to face the world again. Amara nodded slowly, tears forming in her eyes. Thank you, she whispered. You don't even know me, yet you're helping me. Minho looked at her gently and said, sometimes you don't need to know someone to care. You just know it's right. That night, Amara slept deeply, not because she was tired, but because, for the first time in years, she felt safe. The next morning, Amara woke up earlier than usual. She felt rested and peaceful, something she hadn't felt in a very long time. As she stood by the window, the sunlight touched her face gently. She thought of Minho and how strange it was that a total stranger could suddenly mean safety. She picked up the coat he had given her and smiled faintly. She wanted to see him again, not because of what he had done for her, but because of how he made her feel, seen, respected, and calm. Around mid-morning, her new phone rang for the first time. The screen showed an unknown number. She hesitated, then answered softly, "Hello." A familiar voice replied, "Good morning, Amara. It's Minho." Her heart skipped. "Oh, good morning," she said, surprised and shy. He chuckled quietly. "I didn't wake you, did I?" She shook her head, though he couldn't see her. "No, I've been awake." He told her he had a short break at work and wanted to know if she'd like to join him for lunch. "Only if you feel up to it," he said politely. Amara smiled without realizing. "I'd like that," she said. When Minho's car arrived to pick her up, she felt nervous. She wore one of the new outfits Yoonji helped her buy, a cream sweater and jeans, and tied her hair back. She looked simple but beautiful. As she stepped into the car, the driver greeted her warmly and drove her to Kangtech headquarters. The building was tall and glassy, with people in suits moving quickly. It looked powerful and intimidating, but when she saw Minho waiting for her near the entrance, her fear melted away. He waved lightly, smiling in that calm, steady way of his. He took her to the rooftop café inside the company building. It was quiet and beautiful, filled with flowers and the view of the city. "This is my favorite spot," Minho said as they sat down. "It helps me think." Amara looked around, amazed. "It's peaceful," she said. "Just like you," Minho laughed softly. "Peaceful. Most people say I'm boring," she smiled. "Then maybe boring is a good thing." They both laughed, and for a moment, it felt like they had known each other much longer than a few days. They talked while eating. Minho asked about Nigeria, about what brought her to Korea, and what she hoped for her future. Amara spoke honestly, telling him she came to Korea to study design and work in fashion, but life became hard after she met Jisoo. Minho listened without interrupting. When she finished, he said quietly, "You still can. Don't let what he did take away your dreams." His words were simple but powerful. She looked at him and saw something in his eyes, not pity, but belief. When lunch ended, Minho walked her to the lobby. "You're stronger than you think," he said before she entered the elevator. "I can see it." Amara blushed slightly and smiled. "Thank you for everything," she said. He nodded. "You don't have to thank me. Just promise me one thing. Take care of yourself." She nodded again, feeling warmth spread through her chest. As the elevator doors closed, she caught his eyes one last time, and something unspoken passed between them, something gentle, real, and new. That evening, back at the guest house, Amara replayed the whole day in her mind, every word, every smile. She didn't understand what was happening between them, but she liked the feeling. It wasn't fast or forced. It was calm, the kind of feeling that grows slowly, like morning light. She looked at her phone and saw a new message from Minho. "I hope today made you smile." She read it 3 times, smiling quietly to herself before whispering, "It did." The next few days passed quietly, but Amara and Minho kept in touch. Every morning, she received a simple message from him, sometimes just "good morning" or "don't skip breakfast." It was small, but it made her heart warm. After everything she had gone through, these little words felt like sunshine. She began to smile again, laugh again, and even sleep peacefully. The nightmares that used to wake her in fear started to fade. She didn't know if it was Minho's kindness or her own strength returning, but she felt lighter every day. One afternoon, she decided to walk to a park nearby. The air was cool, and families were sitting on benches with their children. She watched them play and felt a little ache in her heart. She missed home, her mother, her friends, the simple laughter of people she loved. But she also knew that Korea had become a new part of her life, one that was slowly giving her a second chance. As she sat quietly, she heard a familiar voice behind her. "I thought I might find you here." She turned and saw Minho, holding 2 cups of tea. He sat beside her, handing her 1 cup. "You really like this park," he said with a soft smile. Amara nodded. "It's peaceful. No one here knows me or my past." Minho looked at her gently. "That's a good thing. Sometimes it's better to be known for who you are now, not what you've been through." She looked at him, surprised by how easily he understood her feelings. "You always know the right thing to say," she said quietly. He smiled a little. "Maybe because I've been broken before too." Amara turned to him. "Curious, you?" she asked. He nodded slowly. "Yes, years ago, I trusted someone who betrayed me. It made me shut people out. I buried myself in work. I thought success would heal the hurt, but it didn't." His voice softened. "Then last week, I saw you, alone, crying in the cold, and I remembered what pain looks like. I couldn't just drive past." His honesty touched her deeply. "Thank you for stopping," she said. "You didn't have to." He looked at her with kind eyes. "Maybe I did." They sat together, sipping tea as the sun began to set. The sky turned orange and pink, and the soft breeze moved through the trees. Amara felt her heart open a little more. It wasn't the fast kind of love she saw in movies. It was gentle, slow, like healing itself. She didn't know if Minho felt the same way, but when he smiled at her, she hoped he did. As they stood to leave, Minho said, "I'll be traveling for a few days, a company event in Bison. I'll call when I return." Amara nodded, trying to hide her disappointment. "Okay," she said softly. "Travel safely," he smiled, then added, "Try not to miss me too much." She laughed, blushing a little. No promises. That night, when she returned to her room, she sat by the window again. The city lights looked softer now. She whispered, "Thank you, God, for giving me another chance at peace." She didn't know it yet, but while Minho's heart was opening to love again, someone from her past Ajisu was quietly searching for her, angry and obsessed. Amara woke up to a quiet morning. The city outside was alive with sounds of traffic and people, but inside her room, everything felt calm. She smiled as she remembered her tea with Minho yesterday. His words, his gentle smile, and the way he listened, it made her feel safe in a world that had always been harsh. For the first time in months, she felt like she could breathe freely. As she was getting ready, her phone rang. It was an unknown number. She hesitated, then answered, "Hello." A familiar voice hissed through the line. "Amara." "It's me." Her heart froze. "Jisoo," she whispered. Her hands trembled. He didn't say anything else, just hung up. The line went dead, leaving a cold emptiness inside her. Her mind raced. He had found her. How? Why? Panic bubbled up, but she forced herself to stay calm. She decided not to tell anyone yet, not even Minho. She didn't want to scare him, and she didn't want to panic herself. But every small sound in the room made her jump. She checked the locks on the doors twice, then sat by the window, looking down at the streets below. She had escaped once. She could do it again. But deep down, she knew this time might be different. By mid-morning, Minho called. "Good morning, Amara," he said. His voice was warm, and for a moment, she almost forgot her fear. "Good morning," she replied softly. She hesitated, then added, I just feel a little uneasy today." Minho's tone became gentle. "Do you want me to come by?" She shook her head, even though he couldn't see her. "No, I'll be okay. Just, let's talk later." He didn't press. "Okay. Call me if you need anything," he said. His words calmed her more than she expected. In the afternoon, she decided to go for a walk, despite the lingering fear. She wanted to feel the sun on her face and remind herself she wasn't trapped. As she walked through a quiet street, she felt eyes on her. She turned quickly, but no one was there. Her heart raced. "Get a grip, Amara," she whispered to herself. She walked faster, clutching her bag tightly. She couldn't let fear take over, not now. That evening, Yoonji stopped by with a small bag of clothes and a note from Minho. I hope you slept well. Remember, you are safe, Minho. Amara felt tears prick her eyes. His thoughtfulness gave her courage. She folded the note and placed it in her pocket. Even though the shadow of her past loomed, Minho's kindness reminded her that the present could still be good. Later that night, she sat by the window again, thinking about the call from Jisoo. The city lights twinkled below her, soft and comforting. She whispered to herself, I won't let him control me again. Somewhere, deep inside, a spark of hope grew. Minho had shown her that love could be gentle, safe, and real. And if she could hold on to that, she might survive the storm that was coming. Amara couldn't sleep that night. Every sound, a car horn, a door closing, a distant shout, made her heart jump. She kept thinking about Jisoo's call. How did he find her? She pressed her phone tightly against her chest and whispered, I won't let you hurt me again. She knew she had to be strong, but fear was hard to ignore. The next morning, Yoonji arrived with breakfast and noticed the tension in Amara's face. Are you okay? She asked gently. Amara hesitated, then shook her head slightly. Someone from my past found me, she admitted softly. Yoonji's eyes widened. Do you want me to tell Mr. Kong? Amara nodded. Yes, please, but not now. I need to process it first, Yoonji promised and left quietly, giving Amara space. Later that day, Minho called. Amara, I just heard from Yoonji. Are you all right? His voice was calm, steady, and full of concern. Amara felt tears prick her eyes. I think so, she said, trying to sound braver than she felt. Minho spoke gently. I'll come by. You don't have to face this alone. She hesitated, but then nodded. Okay. Thank you. His willingness to protect her made her heart race, not with fear, but with something new, something warm. When Minho arrived, he immediately noticed the worrying in her eyes. Amara, look at me, he said softly. She did, and for the first time that day, she felt grounded. I won't let him hurt you, he promised. She looked at him, seeing the quiet strength in his posture. She realized that she could trust him, not just with her safety, but with her heart. The warmth in his presence made her forget the fear, even if just for a moment. They spent the afternoon talking quietly, sharing small stories about their lives. Minho told her about his childhood, how he loved building small gadgets as a boy, and how he dreamed of changing the world. Amara shared memories from Nigeria, her mother's smile, her first school friend, and the designs she wanted to create. Every word they exchanged built a bridge between them, a gentle connection growing stronger with each passing minute. As evening fell, Minho suggested a walk. Amara hesitated, thinking of the streets, but then realized she felt safe with him. Hand in hand, they walked along a quiet avenue, the city lights reflecting in puddles from a recent rain. Minho never let go of her hand, and she didn't want him to. The touch was reassuring, warm, and unspoken words passed between them, trust, care, and something that could become love. When they returned to the guest house, Minho knelt briefly to adjust her coat. You are braver than you know, he said softly, looking into her eyes. Amara felt her chest tighten, a strange mixture of admiration, gratitude, and longing. And you are kinder than I imagined, she whispered. He smiled gently. That night, as he left, she didn't feel fear. She felt hope, the hope that someone could love her gently and protect her, even when the world seemed dark. The next morning, Amara woke up to the smell of coffee. Yoonji had made breakfast again, smiling warmly. Mr. Concord, she said softly. He wants to see you. Amara nodded, feeling her heart skip. She didn't know what today would bring, but she wanted to see him too. Her heart had started to find safety in his voice, in his kindness. At Minho's office, the world looked different. The people smiled at her, and Minho looked happy to see her. "Amara," he said, standing to greet her. His smile was gentle, but his eyes were deep, like he had something serious to say. "There's something I want to tell you," he said, leading her to the window. "I spoke with the police about Jisoo. He's being taken care of. You don't have to run anymore." Amara froze for a moment. Then tears fell freely. It was over. The fear was gone. When she turned to thank him, her words got lost in her throat. "Minho, you've done so much for me. I don't know how to repay you." He smiled softly. "You already have," he said, "by being brave. By trusting again." His hand brushed against hers, and she didn't pull away. The silence between them wasn't heavy anymore. It was gentle, full of meaning. Weeks passed, and their bond only grew. Amara started working as a fashion designer under Minho's company. Every day, they shared quiet lunches, walks, and laughter. She began to see Korea not as a place of pain, but as a place of new beginnings. Minho was patient, never rushing her, never forcing her. He simply stayed, kind, steady, and present. Then one day, something unexpected happened. A paperwork error, a mix-up from the immigration office, listed Amara as Mrs. Kong, Minho's legal spouse, due to a business partnership registration gone wrong. At first, they were both shocked, married. Amara gasped, holding the papers. Minho chuckled softly. "It's a mistake. Unless you don't mind keeping it," he said with a teasing smile. Her face turned red, but her heart felt light. Days later, he asked her seriously, "Amara, what if we made the mistake real?" Her heart raced. She looked into his eyes. The man who found her crying on a cold night, who protected her, who showed her that love didn't have to hurt. "Yes," she whispered, tears shining in her eyes. "I would love that." Their wedding was simple and beautiful, in a garden filled with white flowers. Amara wore a soft ivory dress, and Minho couldn't take his eyes off her. When he lifted her hand and said, "You are safe now, and forever loved," she smiled through happy tears. The wind blew gently, like a promise of peace. Amara had escaped pain, and by accident, walked into true love. In Korea, she found not just safety, but a new life, a new name, and a man who loved her gently, truly, and completely. And as they stood together, the past faded behind her, replaced by laughter, hope, and a future that felt like home.